You ever miss the last train and think, okay, minor inconvenience? You think you'll be home in an hour, tucked into bed, safe. You don't expect a carriage of immaculate seats and a smiling conductor to materialize out of the fog. You certainly don't expect it to be going somewhere that isn't on Earth. I moved to Germany for nursing. The night shift sounded like a miracle at first. Quiet hours, legal overtime, a few daytime hours that were mine. I'd survived the daytime slog, the endless rounds, the shallow sleep, the catcalls at bus stops. So night work felt like a small reward. The only cost was distance, an hour-plus commute and a timetable that made my life revolve around trains and buses. Most nights the routine was a dull machine. Tonight was not one of those nights. 2 patients had flatlined within minutes of each other. We brought them back, but I left with my chest still rattling from adrenaline and the knowledge that sleep would be a distant, fragile thing. I checked my watch as the bus crawled through another red light and realized, with that familiar six-spiker panic, that I'd missed my train. I bolted off the bus, lungs burning, but the platform was empty. The departure board said the train had left on time, as if fate itself had decided I'd be punctual for once. I sat on a bench and let my head fall back for one tiny, exhausted rest. When I opened my eyes, the train was there, silent, impossible, its light soft and precise as if it had been waiting for me alone. My phone confirmed nothing. No schedule, no alert. 30 minutes, the app had said, but now the train doors sighed open like a hell breath. A hand clamped my arm before I could step in. The grip was ice, stubborn. I turned to find an old man, filthy, crooked, leaning on the kind of poverty that smells like old cardboard and damp. His eyes were frantic. "You can't go in there," he hissed. "You'll never get out. They never do." I told him to move. He spat and gripped harder, panic threading his voice. "It's not for you. It's not for any of us. Don't." Then a woman in uniform leaned out from the carriage and smiled at us like the sun had chosen to be cruel. "This woman chose the train," she said as though reading from a script. Her smile never left her face. It was too wide, too patient. "Now please let her go." He released me like a puppet jerked on a string, and she nodded at me, almost kindly. "This will take you home, dear," she said, voice smooth as varnish wood. Her teeth flashed, too white, and the uniform looked like it had never seen a commuter's hand. Everything about her smelled faintly of flowers and something that shouldn't be in the air at 3 in the morning. It should have been the first red flag. The interior was immaculate. Not cleaning crew immaculate. New. Upholstery like couches. Fabric with a faint floral scent. No gum stuck to the floor. No scuffed plastic. No graffiti. The lighting was soft, almost apologetic. I sat, grateful for warmth, and checked my phone. 3:33. The train slid out without sound. My phone blinked, then died in my hand like something had stolen its will. I closed my eyes for a minute. When I woke, the world had grown wrong. The small displays above the doors were dark. The windows showed nothing but perfect black. No lights, no blur of trees, no moon. I stood and walked the length of the carriage. The aisles were empty. There was no end. I passed seat after seat, polished and waiting, as if the whole thing were an exhibit and I was the only visitor. My feet began to run. I called, "Hello," until my voice was a raw edge. No one answered. The silence in the carriage pressed at my ears. My heartbeat was a sledge. Tears came without permission. My bag slipped from my shoulder and thumped to the floor. I dropped down on my knees in the clean aisle and realized the primitive, animal truth. Trains are for leaving. I was not leaving. A voice like a dry leaf unfurled beside me. "What's wrong, my child?" An old woman smiled down at me, cardigan yellow as custard, hands soft and flour-dusted. She smelled faintly of soap. She helped me to my feet as if I were fragile pottery. Her movements were deliberate, tender, and wrong, because tenderness here felt like a trap. "Why isn't it stopping?" I croaked. "It will stop when it reaches its destination," she said. "I'm finally going to see my daughter." Her voice snagged on the last words, and for the first time I noticed something else. Her eyes were empty in a way that had nothing to do with age. They looked like pictures that had been painted and then turned away. "Your daughter," I repeated, questions tumbling out. The woman told me, and the story stuck in my throat like a hair. My daughter died when she was 7. A drunk driver. He ran her over and drove off. A chill like wet coal ran down my spine. Then, how? How can I see her? She echoed. Her smile trembled a fraction. We get visits. If the train stops for us. If we are chosen. Chosen. The word was a coin dropped into a dark well. Later that night, I would realize everyone on this train was chosen in some way, by grief, by accident, by an unfinished turn in life. They rode in the immaculate silence for a reason. I tried to move, to press myself against the door and scream until someone with keys arrived and unlocked me. For hours, minutes, I lost time entirely. I pounded, I pressed, I fought. The doors were part of the design, to open for the right souls only. For the rest, they remained the final polite barrier. And then she appeared again, the smiling conductor. She hovered at the corridor like a promise. We made a mistake, miss, she said, tilting her head. Her smile sliced the air. You aren't supposed to come with us. Yet, please leave. Somewhere far below the polite voice, the old man's warning detonated in my head once more. You'll never get out. The corridor doors eased open. Fresh air and a leaking street lamp were beyond them. I fell into it as if rescued from drowning, laughing then crying on the curb like a creature that had been pulled up from the bottom of the sea. I checked my phone. It flicked to life. 3:34. I had been gone for a minute. I had been gone for an eternity. The homeless man sat down a few yards away, rocking slightly, and caught my eye. He did not smile. His hands had the look of someone who's been holding onto something heavy for too long. I called a friend and waited under the sodium light, fingers numb, until help came and my voice could be believed. People tell me I should be grateful. I tell myself I will never step onto a train at an odd hour again. But I also watch the rails when the fog comes in. Sometimes, when the wind is a certain kind of hollow and the display boards flicker, I imagine a carriage materializing out of the dark, its doors sighing, its conductor smiling, and a floral scent drifting out like a promise. If that train stops for you, don't think of it as convenience. Don't think of it as luck. Think of the people who sat silent and polite around me. The woman with the empty eyes, the man who swore it was a devil's work, the conductor who never blinked. Think about mothers who whisper to graves, and about mistakes that can't be fixed. If you ever see a train that shouldn't exist, don't get on it. Some routes don't lead home. They lead elsewhere, to a destination that doesn't have a timetable on Earth.